Welcome back to Gene and Roger Talk Movies. We are talking It Follows today. We did Final Destination last week, kind of a death is coming for you sort of movie, and we were like, hey, let's do It Follows because it's kind of sort of a little bit the same.
It is.
Came out in 2014. The U.S. release was in 2015. Made some money, of course. 1.3 million was the budget, and it made around 24 million. So
It's a winner.
Little winner there. Once again, horror making the money. But let's see how much Gene hates this one. Gene, where are you at with It Follows?
Just because I hated Final Destination doesn't mean I hate this one.
Well, I think you're on a run now for like hating, I think the last 3 or 4 we've done. You didn't like Final Destination.
Hated it.
You didn't like Tin and Tina.
Hated it.
You didn't like the
Because
Funhouse.
unlikable characters. I don't care if they're stupid kids.
You didn't like the Funhouse. So hopefully, Gene, do you hate this one or do you like this
I
one?
just want movies that, have likable characters and that make sense, that within their suspension of disbelief, within their universe that they set up. But this movie's great. If you like horror, like I've said, this is a great movie for you to see. It has all the prerequisite good horror film criteria that I think, as likable characters. They set up their own universe, and they're consistent within it. They follow the rules for their world that they set up. It just makes sense. It's good horror, and it does kind of mess you up a little bit. Because it makes you think about your life and your own personal choices. So this is good horror. I like it. My wife didn't like it, but
Why didn't she like it?
I don't know. We ended up talking about making out in cars, and so I was like, "What? You've never told me this before."
The basic premise,
Like
if you
never
haven't...
So what else haven't you told me?
Well, I'm sure there's lots of hidden secrets from everybody.
Yeah. But anyway, moving on. But it was a good movie. I liked it. It's just teens just doing whatever they can to make sense of the world and making a lot of bad choices. And
Right. The basic premise is there's this cursed entity that will kill you, and it's transmitted through sexual intercourse. And
if you have sex with somebody, the whatever it is, will start following you.
right, and
if it catches you, it kills you.
Yeah, and it's really interesting how it does kill you because they show the first girl at the very beginning to set up kind of the danger. And boy, that entity just kind of bent her leg back at the knee the wrong way.
Her body was destroyed.
Right, yeah.
Right.
So, but this movie is interesting, Gene, and I don't know where you're at with this part, but most horror movies like to kind of explain things, right? There's always let's go to the library and find out what the deal is with this creature, or let's talk to this creepy old guy or this witch lady that seems to know what's going on. And this movie never really explains anything.
You never explains the origin of this curse or
how to stop it,
it doesn't explain anything.
Yeah, the only way to stop it is to pass it on to somebody else, and you're trying to move the needle further away from you. And so the one person that kind of knows a little bit about what's going on is just like, hey, look, you need to go have sex with somebody and
like
pass
right
this
away
on,
and pass
right?
this on.
Yeah.
It also brings up the point of, it's at a young age. I mean, because it's a terrible choice, because if you know what's happening, that this entity is going to come after you, and it comes after you and it just walks towards you.
Mm-hmm.
So you can drive away and it buys you some time, but it'll still find you. But you're innately vulnerable when you're stationary for a long time, like, in bed, sleeping. But if it's a choice, is that, and at the very beginning, we show this girl running out of her house, panicked, and she's dressed oddly, and then
she does have her high heels on.
Yeah, she has high heels on, and then the neighbors are like, "Are you okay?" And then the dad is like concerned for her, and then she drives to a far location, and then we see her body. But it turns out that her choice, because her choice wasn't to pass it on. It was just to accept her fate, which I guess in this case would be the best thing to do, or the maybe not the best thing to do, but it would be the non-selfish thing to do, because that's a terrible choice, right? If you know you're cursed, but if you could pass the curse on to somebody else, you might be okay. And so that's your choice, just to pass it on to somebody else so they die. That's a terrible thing. And so at the beginning, the girl decides, she's not going to do that. And so she accepts her fate. She drives to a beach, and she just waits for this thing to come, and it gets her. But I guess the way the rules work is that if it gets you, then the creature will go back to the creature, or to the person that you had sex with before that gave it to you.
Right.
Right. So, yeah. And so there's a line in the movie where it says it keeps going back to its origin. So it'll just try to kill you, and then it goes back, try to go back and back like that. Yeah. And so this girl, her name's Jay, she sleeps with this guy, this boyfriend guy, and it starts following her, and it takes different forms. At first she sees it, it's like this old lady, but then it's a tall, and it breaks into her house, and then it's this tall, somewhat lurking guy. Yeah, and so it can change different forms to confuse you. So it's a pretty creepy movie. It makes you think about what would be my choice? What would I do?
Right.
So.
One of the things I do like about this entity, though, is that boyfriend, the only reason the Jay character has any hope of overcoming this on any level is he has sex with her. He knows he's passed it on to her. He chloroforms her, ties her up, and explains kind of, hey, here's the deal. It's real. It's going to come get you. He waits for it to come so she can see that it's coming.
My sense is that he wanted to perform a test to see if he was clear, because he chloroformed her, made her pass out, and then he tied her up in a wheelchair in this abandoned warehouse, right? And so they just wait. And so the creature comes, again, I think because he has been infected. I'll use the word infected.
Right.
He can see the entity, and of course the girl now, because they had sex, she can see the entity, and it's this naked woman. And so he sees it coming, and she sees it coming, and then she's freaking out. Jay's freaking out. But then the creature clearly is not after him. It's after Jay. And so he performs a test, a little experiment, and is verified. He's clear. As long as Jay is still alive, the creature will go after somebody else. And so he's succeeded.
Right, but I think also, I don't know if that's the direction he was really going, because how did he figure out this was happening, right? Because he said, oh, I picked it up from some random person at a one-night stand bar pickup.
Right.
So I'm like, how did you make it? Because later in the film, the Jay character is kind of having sex a lot to try to move this thing along. There's this scene where she swims out to the boat with the three guys.
Dear Lord, she completely freaks out and is being very irrational. Yeah, she probably had sex with one or all of those guys on the boat.
Right.
And they would all just die.
And they did very quickly, because it wasn't too long later that here's the thing again, walking towards you. Here it is again, walking towards you. And so, how did this guy know what was happening unless he was lying the first time around, where, oh no, this woman actually told me, I knew who it was, I'm not going to tell you who it was, or whatever. So that part was kind of weird to me, where how could you live unless somebody told you? Because it's literally, yeah, here's an old lady walking towards me. You're not thinking anything twice about that, in reality.
Yeah, the movie leaves it unexplained.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy, he assumes an identity so that he can trick Jay into having a relationship with him. Like they found that he's squatting in this abandoned building.
Right.
And the movie's set in Detroit, Michigan, and there are lots of abandoned homes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's all over the place. So the movie sets a little bit of a, I don't know, there's a little message there about decay. Maybe this is a theme of decay that I don't know. I don't know how to tie that in.
Well,
definitely-
the last time we visited Detroit was Barbarian. Do you remember that? Where it was just, yeah, Detroit's a great place for a horror film. Yeah.
Lots of destroyed homes. Yeah, yeah,
But I think ultimately this movie really, for me, I look at it as the entity is just kind of death, right? It is always slowly walking towards you. And the sexual aspect of it is, enjoy your life while you have it, because death always knows where you are. It's always slowly walking towards you. It's going to get you no matter what you do. There is apparently no way to actually stop this thing. She's going to die eventually.
yeah.
It's
Jay
gonna
has
get
an
her.
advantage is that she has a pretty strong friendship group. She's got a loving sister, and then she's got neighborhood friends that they're loyal to her, and they want to do whatever they can to help her out. And so they set up this elaborate trap in this abandoned pool, like in Detroit, which kind of doesn't make sense as an abandoned building, but the pool is like really nice. But but yeah, they try to electrocute this thing, and they shoot it with a gun, and no, it doesn't kill it because it's not alive. It's some
Right.
kind of like spiritual entity or something.
Well, and during
Or like Roger was saying, it's a metaphor. You just can't kill that with a gun. You just can't.
right, and I loved in that sequence what does the entity look like? It looks like Jay's dad. So
Yeah.
the dad is throwing all this. They have all this electrical stuff, like hair
Yeah.
dryers and everything. Like they're gonna
By a
electrocute
pool,
it.
yeah, they're going to get the creature in the
know.
pool, then throw all the electrical stuff in, which I don't think would work because just the volume of the pool would dilute the charge. I just don't think it would work. But anyway, it's a nice attempt.
Right,
Nice
right.
attempt.
Yeah, and it's just I liked this movie just because it didn't explain things. Because like I said earlier, there's always the scene, even Final Destination, the kids figuring out, oh, it's a pattern, and I get this,
Right.
and
Well, the kids are trying to figure it out. Yeah.
they're trying to, but there's no answer to this other than keep having sex to try to keep it away from you. And the Conjuring movies where, oh, here comes somebody to explain everything, or
Right.
Poltergeist, you had the little lady come in there
Yeah,
explaining
the
everything.
4'10" woman.
Right,
And then
you know.
she's the house is clean.
Right. And so this is just, nope, this thing is happening. They don't have any real solutions to it. And even the end of the film, there's no solution here.
Nope.
You
No
know.
solution at all.
And so it's definitely hits into that open-endedness of horror films sometimes, but also, yeah, how do you beat this thing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you do beat it. Yeah, so it's interesting. One of the Jay's friends is a neighbor girl, and she loves to read, right? And so she has this, makeup compact that she is looking at all the time. But then you realize, oh my gosh, it's an e-reader.
Right.
So she's actually reading a book, and so there's lots of times she scenes in the movie where she's looking at her compact. And then at the pool scene, her friend, Jay's friend Paul, he has a gun, and so they attempt to shoot the creature again the second time.
But he can't see it, of course.
So they
'cause-
put a blanket
yeah.
over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's invisible, so the blanket has the form, right? And so he shoots it, but of course it doesn't work. But in attempting to shoot the creature, he actually ends up
Right, of
shooting
course.
his friend in the leg. Yeah, yeah. And
And even the scene when they're in that boathouse area and Jay is going off with that gun and Paul or whoever the other character is right there. They don't understand gun safety on any
no,
level.
they don't because the bullets are whizzing by
Right,
him.
and he's like, hey,
It's
stop
come on.
shooting at me.
I know.
You know, he-
Well, but because it's like, Jay is shooting the gun and she's shooting it at the person.
Right.
But the body of the person is blocking that there's a real person right behind. Yeah, they don't understand gun safety.
No.
But yeah, so the friend who likes to read out of her e-reader compact, she's in the hospital, and at the end, it's like Jay and Jay has a friend, Paul, neighbor friend, and Paul has always been enamored with Jay, and so he has sex with her, and some kind of like heroic attempt to go through the ultimate sacrifice with Jay, and so they're all in the hospital, and the girl with the compact, I don't know her, Yara.
Yeah, it's Yara.
Yeah, Yara, and she is reading a line from this book, and it's about the inevitability, the certainty of this is that it can be, it's like they talk about the certainty in terms of time. Like it could be like an hour away, and then it's 10 minutes away, and then it's a minute away, and then it's certain. This thing is coming towards you, and it's finally getting towards you. Yeah, and then I think it's talking about they've decided that they too there's no escape.
Right.
And then the final scene of the movie is Jay and Paul are holding hands walking down the street, and then you see one of these entities in the background. And they're just walking down the street, holding hands, not really any attempt to get away at all. So they've kind of accepted their fate. They're both going to die. But I just don't like.
I did like how Paul was driving around picking up hookers, though.
Yeah, he was driving in his car, and I think he was contemplating. I don't think he ever did it, but he was contemplating. He's like, oh, I can have sex with her, and then it goes, yeah, right.
Because Paul's not a dumb guy. Hey, if I have sex with this hooker, hopefully she could have sex with maybe 10 other guys tonight, and move the needle way down the road.
Yeah, but then that's the thing with this thing, right? Is that I guess Paul or the other character who gave the thing to Jay, he somehow figured it out and he was able to live. I don't know, maybe he caught a lucky break and he discovered it. I don't know. Yeah, again, the movie doesn't explain that. It doesn't explain it at all.
No.
Yeah. But even if he had sex with the hooker, and the hooker, it's demonstrated with the boys in the boat is that more likely than not, it's still going to find its way to you.
Yeah.
Right. So what are you going? You're done. So they accept their fate. They stop trying to run, stop trying to pass it on. Yeah.
Right, and they've stayed together, so they're going to be able to help each other out as far as fending this off if they want to continue down that road.
If they can fend it off. Although it seems when it gets really close to you, it's pretty...
Right.
Because there was one friend who's, again, a neighbor friend who's across the street. He sleeps with Jay. And at first he thinks, oh, it's done because it's like 3 days and nothing's happened. Then all of a sudden, no, shows up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But the creature turns into his mom. The mom's knocking at his door, and then he opens the door, and it's like, Mom, what are you doing? And then the mom, who is the creature, jumps at him and just tears him up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The gore effects are very minimal here.
Minimal, yeah.
So it's not a gore fest by any means.
Yeah, when the neighbor's mom is tearing up, there's like this electrical discharge, which was kind of weird. But then, yeah, he was dead.
Yeah. But there's actually talk that there's going to be a sequel. Are
you serious?
With the main character returning. So we'll see if that actually happens.
Well, it's 2014. It's quite a bit later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, so I think it's called They Follow.
I don't know about that. Yeah. We know how sequels work in horror movies.
Yeah.
It's very, very rare, almost never, that sequels are any good at all.
Well,
most times they're just pure garbage.
There are some sequels that are great, but yeah, this movie falls, I think, into the category of there's no real reason to do a sequel.
There's no real, just leave it as, let's come up with a fresh idea.
Yeah.
There's probably some good fresh ideas out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Mika Malone was also in she's like the horror girl, I guess. Yeah, she was in a movie that we actually reviewed. Yeah, The Watcher. Or just Watcher, because there is a movie called The Watcher, but this is Watcher. Yeah, it's set in an Eastern European city, and yeah, somebody's just watching her. Yeah, and it doesn't turn out well.
No, she's pretty good in this.
Yeah, she's pretty good.
And the characters are all believable. I mean, you were talking, last week or the week before, where none of these people are acting like teens at all. These ones seem to be more grounded.
Was that in Funhouse?
Yeah, maybe it was. I don't know. You've hated so many of the most recent movies we've done.
They're all blurs together.
But this one seemed, because they do a lot of just kind of random scenes of these teens interacting, and it seemed natural and normal kind of teen-type behavior.
Right. Yeah. Teens
You
just
know.
being teens. Yeah.
Right, kind of setting that world that Gene was talking about earlier, because the parents are kind of non-existent in this film. It's one of those,
Right.
and so
You get a sense that the family is fractured, and yet the sisters and the neighbor kids have stayed together
right.
due to the fractured nature of the family. Which again kind of brings up maybe that there's the theme there of brokenness, like the neighborhood is broken, there in Detroit. So it leads, and then also the family is broken. So brokenness leads to, I don't know, somebody following you, wanting to kill you. I don't know, but I think.
Well, I think the brokenness leads to bad choices, right? And so one of the things you could look at is, the idea to have sex with somebody, because there is a sequence at the end when she does have sex with the kid that's always been enamored with her.
Yeah.
And there's a line of
neighbor
dialogue.
Kid, Paul.
Right. There's the line of dialogue there where she asks him, "Do you feel any different?" And he says no.
Right.
And so you have this idea that maybe this will be something that is life-changing or whatever, and my whole worldview is going to be different. And it's like, oh, no, nothing has changed.
Right.
And so it's kind of this, leading to choices that are not necessarily the best. In this case, of course, the choice is you're going to get killed by this entity is what's going to happen. But I also liked how they showed at the very beginning, here's this nice middle class, maybe upper middle class kind of neighborhood where the first girl is fleeing. And then later in the film, you're seeing the decay of Detroit, which definitely leads credence to what you were talking about there with kind of the decay aspect.
Yeah, it could be that if something is broken, like, then what do you have if things are breaking around you? All you have is like the people in your life. So just try to stay close to the people in your life. Try to have good friends, or try to do what you can to enrich your friendships. Because if the decay is happening around you, then that's really all you got, right?
Right.
Is your friends, people that you can talk to, people you can, be with. If things are falling apart around you. And again, the friendship group for Jade's really, they really do their heroes. Yeah.
No, yeah, no, they all support each other for sure. Leads to the death of one of them, but
well, it leads to the death of the kid across the street, and it also leads to Paul's death, and which happens off camera, kind of in the future, but it's coming.
Well, right. All right, Gene. Anything more for It Follows?
Yeah, It Follows is like, I liked it. My wife didn't like it because maybe it reminded her of her making out in cars or something. I don't know. She might be mad at me that I'm talking about this. But, it's out there. So, and we'll Roger, don't delete it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, don't edit it.
I won't.
Yeah, so if you're a horror movie fan, you definitely got to check out It Follows. It's really good.
Yeah, it definitely
awesome.
is a quality film.
And again, I like it. It's somber. There's not a lot of music into it. But my wife and I were commenting. It's very artistic. You can tell the choreography is just really great. How they almost framed each and every shot there. So it's pretty good.
Well, and they definitely used widescreen lenses on that. They were definitely going for the Dean Cundey, John Carpenter kind of look for their film with the big wide screens.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
And so definitely is filmed nicely. It certainly looks more expensive than the $1 million budget they had.
For $1 million budget, you look at the credits, and there are a lot of names there. It's like so you can pull off a lot with $1 million.
Right. Well, but I'm also sure how many of those were the director's friends too, right?
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah, it's filmed in a school, so there are lots of extras. Also, lots of names of extras.
Yeah. But, Gene, what are we doing next week?
Well, you know how we are. I have no plan.
Okay. Yeah, we don't have a plan for next week, but I can assure you that something will happen.
Yes.
I am happy with this episode because it's nice to have a film that Gene likes for a change, because we were on a roll here where Gene hated them.
Not ridiculous.
And so that leads us to maybe we'll have to do Bride of Chucky next week.
We're not doing Bride of Chucky.
I did watch that just on Wednesday, I think, again.
Oh, yeah?
It is as great as I remember.
It's not great.
Anyway, we thanks for tuning in. We will be doing something next week, so we'll talk to you then. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.